Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
I tell this a lot. When I first got started, when I was in public accounting, I was a tax consultant, and I left to go into the private practice of law in 1995. And it was a struggle. It was a real struggle. It was a struggle to find events. It was a struggle to find people. It was a different time. It was just a different time. And I remember getting introduced to, well, I'll use one example. Got introduced to this banker. Get to go meet with bankers. Like, this is great. Bankers deal with a lot of business people. This is wonderful. I knew nothing about the banker. Nothing. Didn't know where he went to college. I knew his name. I knew where the branch was. That's all I knew. And to me, it was very terrifying because, it was, I don't know what to say. I don't know. And eventually, everybody was on a level playing field. We all had this same level of ignorance, if you will. But it was terrifying, and that's not the case anymore. When I talk to people about getting out there and doing job searches or working with people, it's like you have the likes of LinkedIn, which was that was 20 years before LinkedIn or 10 years before LinkedIn, that you can take advantage of and look into, and there's a ton of stuff out there. One of the things you'll hear me say from time to time is that if you had $1 million hanging in the balance, it means someone's going to hire you and pay you $1 million, you wouldn't be like Frank Agin of old and just go in and wing it. You would do some research. You would find all you can. You would be looking into all the ones and zeros, all the digital stuff that's out there. Today, I have a data analytics expert, an architect, a tech builder, on with me, Tyler Lovins. Tyler, welcome to the program.
Hey man, thank you. And yeah, that story kind of definitely makes sense. Because even like back then, I would think like if you're not just a good like winging it person, there's really nothing you can do, right?
No.
Because that's kind of almost like a personality trait. Like you can wing it or you can't wing it. So like being like no matter how much research you could do potentially, it was impossible. So yeah, now you really have no excuse anymore.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm excited to have you on, because you can kind of talk about, obviously there's LinkedIn, and to me, that's the bare minimum. I have a friend who his mantra with his clients is before you take a call, you put 30 minutes into learning about somebody. Go to LinkedIn, look at their stuff. You and I have spoken, and there is just a mountain of other things that can be done and things that you have done. Looking into industries and trends and things like that maybe not everybody's going to do. But again, if $1 million is hanging in the balance, they might hire the likes of you to say, hey, I need help, right? A company or whatever. So yeah, just kind of share your story and things you have done. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So I want to kind of frame this in two different ways. So we have the research of the person, right? And that's like an individual person you actually know that you want to get the information on, and then like a research of a group. And so for a researcher person, like you said, if somebody doesn't have a LinkedIn, it's kind of weird. You're like, is this the right person? Like, because everyone has a LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
And so if someone does it, I'm suspicious. I'm like, I can't find you, man. What's your LinkedIn? And if they don't have it, that's a red flag for me. Like, so everyone has a LinkedIn, and it's usually you can see what they look like. You can see the images, right? You can see what they look like. You can see what they post. You can see all of their job history. Like, there's just so much information that they're giving you. Not even just their resume, even additional information on top of that. And so if we're just talking like superficial data, like that data is just super robust on its own, right?
Yeah.
And now you're looking at, all right, now let's say like what are they posting about? What kind of topics are they liking and sharing? And what word choice are they using? How are they framing themselves? And like that now is a whole new layer. right? Like even just the super smart people that have like psychology degrees, that they can read that and kind of get a good like understanding of the person. Now you just copy and paste that, send it to ChatGPT, like, hey, what personality type is this person? What disc profile? What Meyer Bridges? All right, how do I adapt my speaking to them? And so you get this whole other layer of information that's literally a couple of minutes and a copy and paste away. That, like you said, I don't like most people are not even doing just the research of what's there. They're not even trying to see the undertone of like what else is there, which is kind of like you said, kind of crazy at the same time.
Well, I mean, again, if there's money out there, if the relationship matters, if the target matters, you're gonna put the time in.
Yeah,
How did you get into this? Let's step back and I mean,
yeah, for sure.
it's not so crazy to think that somebody thought my son's kind of an IT person, and he knew from, geez, I don't know when, junior high, he wanted to build his own computer, and it just kind of went one thing to the next to the next. And so that's not so crazy, but everybody has their whole own story.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as how did I get into this field, I would say it was actually an accident. Like it was one of those things where I considered myself a problem solver, a dot connector, and a builder. And whenever I see a problem, I automatically trigger like, all right, how can I solve that? And for some reason, I'm always, how can I solve it with tech, and how can I do it in a system way to scale it? It doesn't matter what I do. I'm always thinking like systems. And so the problem I had was I joined a Amazon marketing company as a CTO, and I was thinking marketing. All right, cool. I know marketing. But then I went in and learned how Amazon was its own little black box. And it's like marketing in Amazon is not the marketing everybody else knows. And so when I started joining, I tried to like learn fast, and I couldn't figure it out quickly because it was all like different language, different, like it was literally like its own ecosystem of marketing. And I would join like different networking events and go to different conferences. I had no clue what people were talking about. And so me being the tech person, I'm like, all right, I'll be back. Just give me a sec.
Right?
I went
Yeah.
out and I was like, all right, well, first I was thinking like, all right, like blogs, YouTube, but to me, everyone's kind of fake on there, right? They have a persona that they want to have everyone believe, and they're putting on this I'm an expert kind of like mask, right? And so you're not really getting the true people, it feels like. So I was like, all right, let me go to Reddit, let me go to Amazon seller forums, like let me go see where people are just talking raw and authentic and figure out what they really care about. And then from there, I started analyzing over the Reddit forums. There was like Amazon seller subreddits and specific subreddits just for Amazon sellers, and just kind of looking through it kind of manually at first. And then I kind of started, all right, let me start scraping that, connect to the Reddit API, and then kind of made a system to go through. But the whole reason I did it was that pain of like you said, showing up in a network in a conference, everyone's talking, you got no clue what people are talking about. And you're just kind of sitting there like, I don't know what's going on, and you just feel dumb, and like you just sit there and you're just confused, right? And you don't have confidence. You have to go in those with confidence, and if you don't have the information or the intelligence beforehand to feel that confidence, you're not going to succeed. So I really just think that having that confidence going up front, and really knowing things, and I mean we'll talk through like knowing things to a level that probably the person don't even know about themselves,
Yeah.
just gives you that confidence to really shine.
Can you give an example of something like that?
Yeah. So there was so like in sales calls that I do like pitch calls, right? I
Right?
record all of them, and after the call, I kind of see how the person's talking, and do they like passive? Like, are they passive? Are they like they're egocentric? Like, do they talk about themselves a lot? And I call it like weaponize, and I would turn it back on them. I'll be like, oh, this person has an ego. Let me stroke that a little bit, right? And
Mm.
so like figuring out things that they won't say out loud, and they might not. So a lot of people are not that self-aware, but like if you can recognize it, and you can usually do it just through either transcripts of a call or their LinkedIn post or their blog post, you could find a lot of information hidden in that text of how they wrote things and how they frame things. And then you can use that against them in not a negative way, but to change your approach. And so that's why I was like, I think just being aware of just the language pattern and all that. And you don't have to be an expert. Like literally, I'm just having AI analyze it and then tell me what to do. And it's pretty confident, like, hey, this person, like I said, it has a huge ego. This person, and like for example, like in LinkedIn, you can see their history, right? And you can see like over time, like this person is starting to hate their job. And you could see that pattern because you have trending data too. And literally it's a copy and paste. It's all there. It's just thinking of how can I use it. And that's where I think people just get stuck because they don't go that second layer, but it's really not that hard if you're really trying to do it.
When you say posting, are you saying, okay, here's this person's LinkedIn URL, dig into their posts, what do you see? Sort of, is that, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the LinkedIn, they or their X account, like wherever. LinkedIn is a little more fake, right? Because it's like a thought leadership. But
Sure.
if you go to like people's X account or Twitter account, like that's a little more raw, and you will see just all of their post history, and they're usually telling you exactly how they feel, and you can analyze that over time, and you can see how moods shift and things change, and then you can kind of use that as your ammo whenever you're going in, and you're using it. I know I call it weaponizing audience intelligence because it really is when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because you're figuring out things about them and then you're kind of using it against them, which is what networking and sales is, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
But trying to do it in a positive way, I would say.
No, I mean, I understand. I have a friend who's an attorney, and he tells me that when he's meeting with people, he tries to match their tone, right? So if somebody talks really fast or like that, then he'll do the same thing. But if somebody's really calm and cool, it's like, and so he does that in the moment, which is easy to do in the moment, or easier to do in the moment. But
Mhm.
you're taking it to a whole nother level. Before you've even talked to them, that, what, they love cats or they, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
And even I've done it where now the transcriptions of like calls like this, there's tools where it can do it like live, which maybe a 5 second delay or so. And I built one thing where like it's analyzing how the person is talking, and then as it's going, it's giving me tips like, oh, this person is something like you should adjust your tone like on the
Mm,
call, or you should do this. So like there was one call where we had maybe about 5 people on the sales call, and the owner of the company was kind of talking about like the past agency, but the past agency was kind of like his friend almost, right? And you can kind of hear, at least I could hear, like there was some like feelings going on around that, but the other person on the call didn't recognize it, and he was just drilling. And I'm like, I had to send him a message like, man, you chill out. Like there's obviously some feelings going, like he feels
yeah,
certain, you need to like back up a little bit. Now me just being like knowing people, and I can recognize that, but the AI would pop up and be like, hey, that dude is over there going too hard. Like tell him to chill out. But
yeah,
like if people don't have that self-awareness, like having that type of thing where it's just like live feeds of like you need to like not do this or do this and kind of tell you adapt based off of the current conversation is a whole layer that's coming. It's not, I wouldn't say it's here. There are tools out there that do it, but
sure.
that's in 6 months probably from now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's amazing what you can do.
Well, I know people who, they'll be on a call and they'll say, well, could you see, they were getting defensive. And,
Hmm.
and a lot of times those things go right over my head.
Yeah.
Um, and, but they're all over it. They did this, or they said this. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. And
Yeah.
it's not that I'm not listening. I'm just listening in a different way. What
Yep.
you're basically saying is AI is listening to it 7 ways to Sunday, right? I mean, it's just, you know,
Exactly. Exactly. And another thing, like if I have, so like I have my AI where it listens and it looks for these cues. So like for another one is like, when did the person get excited? And then it's like, what topic was that around when that person got excited? And then I can then like, oh, that person cares about this stuff, and then he doesn't care about this stuff. And then I'm like towards the end of the call, I can make sure I pivot back to the parts that he were excited. And so there's a lot of different ways of doing it. And this is live on the call. So this is not even research beforehand, right? So
sure.
if you do your research beforehand, you won't know this stuff, but you'll still kind of be able to guess, like, pretty good. But then if you have it on the call also, you can test a few things and see where, where it spikes or where it goes down, and then kind of adapt from there. So I would say adaptability is going to be a huge advantage as well.
I can see using it to, if you can program it to do it. Based on what you're telling me, you can. Okay, what questions do I need to ask? Because you ever
Hmm.
been like in an interview or something like that where it's like, do you have any questions? Do you have anything? It's like, I can't think of anything. You
For
end the
sure.
Zoom call, you hang up, and it's like, oh yeah, I should have asked this. And to
Yeah.
have it say, I would ask these three things. Here are three questions that I would dig into that, you know, they skirted this, right? And
Uh-huh.
like politicians do it. And things happen so fast that you're on to the next thing and they've kind of dodged whatever. You can come back and say, well, you never really told me whatever the question might be.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
assume you could do something like that. Wow, that's
For sure,
fascinating.
for sure. Yeah, no, but all right. So let's go back a little pre
Sure.
meeting. Let's go pre meeting. So we talked kind of more on the specific person. Let's talk about like a group of people. All right. So like going back to my example of me going to like an Amazon conference or Amazon networking event. So what I would do, and I'll kind of give a way of doing it, because you're just talking hypotheticals. Everyone's like, all right, how do you actually do it though? So there's kind of like a 4 or 5 steps. The first step is, of course, figuring out who your target audience is. Right. Like in my situation, it was Amazon brand owners, right? And it's usually smaller brands. It's not like a huge, billion-dollar companies. And so I kind of have my idea. All right, now where do those people live? And so I went on Amazon Seller Forums, which is like a forum specifically on the Amazon site for brands. And
Hmm.
then also on Reddit, there's subreddits specifically for Amazon sellers, and there's like 2 or 3 of them. And so in order to be in there, you would be an Amazon brand owner, right? And so like now I have my data set kind of where my people live. So you need to figure out where they live, and then where they talk raw. Like raw is the key here. You don't want thought leadership posts. You don't want, like blog posts. You want where they just out there, like where do they cuss at? Like that's where you want to go.
Hmm.
Okay. So you figure out where they live. The second part is how do I get the information? Now, that used to be hard. Now there's so much information and so many tools that you can gather that information. And so either, old school is you would actually just got to read it. Nobody has time for that. And so the second part is kind of the newer school is you can literally just give a link to ChatGPT or whatever and tell it to do. So like on ChatGPT, there's a deep research option where it would analyze probably 50 or so posts. And that usually gets a good sample size, right? And you can be like, all right, here, do a deep research on this subreddit or this forum and find all of the whatever you want to look for. Like I do pain points, find all the pain points, key like topics that everyone's talking about, trending topics, and like maybe a list of the things that you want it to go research. And then it'll come back and it'll list everything out for you. And then from there, you can start figuring out like, all right, what talking points do I want to hit on these? And it's always good to get like quotes, right? Of like quotes that other people said so that you can kind of actually understand their word choice and how they say it. Because I'm sure, AI like kind of summarizes everything or it just seems plain and it's not really the same meaning all the time. And so I'll usually like, all right, now just give me like specific quotes around each of these topics so I can see like how they're actually like wording it and their word choice. And you can read it and like really understand their feeling behind it. And then kind of like study that before you go to the networking event. And then now you have this like real raw ammo that you what they're like and sometimes it's like the prompt that I usually use is like I want to understand I want to know what people are thinking in the back of their head, but they never say it. Like that's the level of insight I want. Like what are the people like I want them to like to say something, they'd be like, man, I was thinking of that. I just never said it out loud. Right.
Mm.
Like that is when it's real and not like, oh, you read that because there's a million blog posts on it, but more of like, yeah, I was thinking about that. You think of that too? And you got to really dig deep to get those.
Oh my gosh. The more you talk, it's like like you'll find from time to time somebody who's a politician and somebody unearths a Twitter or X post from 10
Hmm.
years ago. It's like, who has the time to go back and do that stuff? Now I get it. Now I totally
Yeah.
get it, right?
Yeah.
It's it's like this. I'm clicking my fingers here. That you just got to know what to ask.
Yeah.
So
And that's what I call the simple approach. So
yeah,
now if you really want to get like in the techie way, which now techie is not even like that far from people. There's this term called
sure.
vibe coding, which is huge now, where pretty much the AI codes whatever you want, you just tell it what it does. And like I vibe code all day. Like now I know the concepts of the programming. Like I took a class and I was like, all right, I get the fundamentals. Now do this. And I know what to watch out for and how to like put guardrails around it. But I can build a whole app just by talking to an AI now. And when I say you can build a whole app, like not like an app where you're going to sell it to people, but an app you can use yourself. Right. And so, for example, you can literally go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, I want you to, here goes the Reddit API documentation link. And you get a link and you give it to ChatGPT and you say, and Reddit has a free API that you can pull all the Reddit data that you want into either like a spreadsheet or a Airtable or a database. And you can give it the link and say, hey, here goes my Reddit API key. You just sign up and then you get a key. Here goes the link. Write me code to pull all of the data into a Airtable or a spreadsheet of this subreddit. And it will write you the code, give it to you, you'll run it, and it will then pull all the data in there. And then now you can just have this growing data set of all of this data that you have just at will whenever you want. And then you can analyze it at another layer compared to just the first 50 things ChatGPT goes and gets. Now you have millions of rows that you can then, keyword search and find different things. And it sounds technical, but it's super easy to do. Like it's you literally, I could probably do that in 5 minutes just talking with ChatGPT, and I don't have to write anything. You, like you said, you
Yeah.
just got to ask the right questions and give it the right information. And so I feel like just understanding the concept and then knowing what you want to do, you can pretty much talk your way through to building whatever you want.
What I don't play around with AI like you do, ChatGPT.
Mhm.
But I do use it, and I tell people you can't break it.
Yeah.
So take the time to play with it and ask things, and hey, can you take this spreadsheet and can you break it into 10 separate spreadsheets based
Hmm.
on whatever? And it might not do it, and then you'll realize, okay, it didn't do it because I asked the wrong way,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and okay, I just need to refine my ask, and I can get it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
ChatGPT being ChatGPT, well, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Sure, I can do it, and there it is.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Tyler, let's shift gears. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your business, types of people you're looking for, how people can get a hold of you. This is all very fascinating. I assume you do these types of things for companies where they'll hire you to come in and, we're looking for this, we're looking for that.
Yeah. So actually, I personally don't like the consulting anymore.
Okay.
So I generally build technologies that I can give the people and then they can do it. And
Okay.
so what I built, I call it Cortex. And the process, I'll try to kind of keep it simple, is let's say you have a target audience and it's Amazon sellers. Let's stick with that. I will go out and do all the data scraping. So I will go out and grab all the Reddit posts, all the subreddits, the Amazon forums, the blog posts, the news articles, the like I do YouTube videos and then transcribe them, TikTok videos, like all of the data that is either audience discussion data, like raw, authentic data, and then creator content data. Like that's all the thought leadership. I'll put it in a tool and that I call a digital brain essentially. And then you can then just ask it these questions and it does a bunch of, like I call it smart search, but it's a like semantic search to understand what you want. And then you can pull it out and then you can get all the data that you want. And the key here that is different than, for example, like ChatGPT deep research is that takes 20, 30 minutes for ChatGPT deep research to go. You get like 5 a month and you get the top 30 or 40 things it goes and finds, and then it stops because it's lazy, right? And then it makes that top 30 or 40% look like it is the expert opinion, but it's really only 1% of the data, right?
Well, it's like doing a Google search, and the first, whatever's on that first page, there's lots more. You just need to dig.
Exactly. And the part that messes people up is it frames it like it's facts, right? And it's like it goes and be like, oh, 20 and 30 of these blogs said this or whatever, then it's facts. But it's really just the 20 and 30 blogs that everyone else is going to go look at. It's not really all of the population, right?
Right.
And so what I do is I get all of it, the whole, like, millions of it. And then so now you have the full population, and you're not just guessing. You're not getting the same 20 or 30 everyone else is getting, because it's literally, I do it, you do it, everyone's getting the same thing back and back. All right. And that's where kind of if you notice in content, everything sounds the same, especially when it has that AI filter over it. And it's because AI is going to get the same information for everybody because it doesn't have the resources to go and get all of it. And so what I'm doing is I'm grabbing all of it, and then you have your own kind of like little personal deep research where you can get the real information, the real raw, like what are they really talking about? Not this is what they're talking about, but everyone is getting the same data, the same info. And so I kind of built the technology so that it's flexible, so that you can use it at will. Because if I try to do it where I'm making your reports, you just get that one report and you're done, right?
Yeah.
Where this is like, all right, I'm about to go on this networking event. Let me go see what I don't know, janitors are talking about, right? Or let me go see what.
Yeah.
And so now you have this tool that you can just use at will for anything, for calls, and you're able to just really figure out their pain points, and even at a psychology kind of like neuromarketing level, kind of like where I was saying, like personalities and different things, because that is where you can really get to the next level, and it doesn't feel superficial because they don't even really know what you're doing behind the scenes. And there's one example where I had someone email me, and it was a podcast email where they were like, oh, like, we're going to be on your pod, or thanks for being on the podcast. And the email was a fake compliment. Right. And I wrote her back. I was like, hey, like, you should probably just delete that. Like, even though it's a compliment, it feels fake, and it's probably going to do more harm than it's going to do help. Right.
Yeah.
And when people are meeting people and they're just throwing out fake stuff, they're just like, oh, I see you did this, post it, right? It's now, it just feels offensive almost, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, you're just like, oh, like I'd rather you just say nothing to me, right? And so and especially with AI, everything is like, you really have your guard up now, because you're like, is this AI? Is this not AI? Like, is it, even if they did research, you're like, you probably just had AI do that, right? Like, you're just so on the defense. And if you can like get people or understand people at that other layer, like, that is a layer that no one else is touching right now, and you'll build that rapport compared to anyone else.
Sounds great. Best way to get a hold of you, Tyler?
Yeah. So probably LinkedIn. My LinkedIn handle is Tyler Mind Game.
Yep. I'm looking at it right now. I'll get that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be the best. Cause I kind of have a couple of different companies that I'm playing with, but that would be the best way to reach me. I
really appreciate this. I want to appreciate you for reaching out to me and bearing with me and getting on here. And this was totally fascinating for me. So
yeah, thanks for having me. I hope I didn't overstimulate people.
Well, no, what you have done is you have basically alerted people to the possibilities, right?
Oh,
and it's going to take some work, but they know the possibilities are there. So it's great.
Just ask ChatGPT. He'll tell you what to do.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today, and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.